to meet you too.
Uh, when you're looking, 10,000 feet view, you've been doing this for a couple months now. What's it been like getting back into the college game, and how much time did it take to kind of readjust from where you were with the Thunder to now, you know, doing a completely different task?
Yeah, I'm still learning, brother. I'm still learning. This is a crazy process. I jumped in March 31st, practically right in the portal. Um, I don't think anyone was really prepared for the transfer portal, and this is a new day in college basketball, college athletics. So there's really no direct job description for what I do. So it's an evolving task list by the day, by the cycle. But what's been great is the experience on the staff with a guy like Wes and Chad Dollar, Andre Morgan, and the continuity that was already here. So I kind of came in saying, you know what, guys, how can I help you out? Whether it's recruiting, whether it's organization, whether it's management, whether it's whatever it might be. But as far as getting a grasp of the job entirely, that's going to be a consistent theme for me the next year or so. And again, college athletics, this thing's changing so much by the day. So by the time I might get a hold of it, it's probably going to change again. But doing my best here.
Ryan Roberts with Riverfront Cincy. Two guys recently added, Jordy Rodriguez and Lucas Atari. Can you just walk us through your involvement with that recruitment and also your evaluation of them?
Yeah. So like most, I'm just there to help wherever possible. For a guy like Lucas, it might have been an agent reaching out and myself kind of connecting with the staff with the proper parties that be. It moved pretty fast though. He went up and played in Canada for the Jam Fest, and he was phenomenal. Shot 59% from three in that event. I think he had 14 points, 17 points against Georgetown. Talk about a guy 6'4", 6'5", can play different spots, good athlete, tough, has some energy to him, type A personality, and he can really shoot the basketball. So that was a blessing in disguise, getting a guy like that late in the year, who can come in here and potentially make an impact on our team this year. For Jordy, similar sense, was over in Belgrade and connected a little bit with the agent then, and I think Mamadou Njai and Wes Miller did a great job of leading that recruitment. Of course, one of my roles is on the back end, the contractual side, so I guess I did my part there, I hope. But Jordy's the same way. Jordy, he's 6'5", 6'6", can play different spots on the perimeter, on the wing, shoots the heck out of it, and again, type A personality. So I think it's very, very important that we had 13 guys on our roster, 15 guys on the roster at the time. We did not want to bring in anyone that could negatively impact the chemistry of our roster. We've been very, very fortunate with the chemistry early on, with bringing 14, 15 guys to the stable and different backgrounds, different experiences, talking about a 7-year age gap between some of our players. So again, very lucky to have that chemistry. So it was important that we did a little background on both Lucas and Jordy as far as who they are as people. And since they've gotten on campus, from what we thought, I mean, they've been very, very mature and doll-like, and they've kind of fit in pretty well. So,
take me through your mindset when Wes reaches out. Obviously, you're with the Thunder. They were at the time, wouldn't be a bad argument to say, the best team in the NBA. You had put years of work in scouting to build up that team. Kind of feels like you're leaving at the height of it before they win the finals. Was there any part of you that said, I'm going to stick it out, or was the offer just too tantalizing and you had to take it?
The first response was hell no. I mean, no, it ain't gonna happen, man. I actually remember exactly where I was. I was in Barcelona at the time in mid-January, and Wes called me up, and I said, dude, you're out of your mind, man. Like, I started in Oklahoma City when they were a 16-win team, 18-win team, and to see the takeoff, it was a blessing for sure. But, life is about taking chances, and it's about, you don't want to say, why didn't I do that? It's more about going and giving it a shot. And I've known Wes for 15 years, and my belief in him as a human being and as a basketball coach, this wasn't all friendship, that's for sure. I mean, it's my career as well. But coming here and checking the place out a bit more and getting to know Brad Pike and John Cunningham and John Daniel, that was also very, very integral in my belief in this program as a whole. It's a very special place, as you guys well know. It's right there to take off, and to have a chance to act as a servant in a sense and leave a larger impact on human beings in a basketball program as a whole, like this place, that's what won out at the end of the day. It was just the program, the city, the university, and Wes Miller.
Quick follow-up. What was the reactions you got from coworkers when you told them that this is what you were going to be doing?
A little bit of shock, like you said, as far as you're going to leave now when this thing's about to take off in Oklahoma City, but also support. They see the grand opportunity that was there here at UC, and again, it's a new day, and to have the reps and the chance to have a direct impact at a place like this, they understood, I think. I hope at least.
Scott Springer, Cincinnati Enquirer. How you doing?
Good, Scott. How are you?
We're getting a nice picture of you today, updated. This team is the most international I've seen around here. How is that a plus? And how does that affect the team camaraderie? I would guess they're all kind of in the same boat. It's unique.
Yeah, these guys have integrated into this university and city very, very well. The blessing was having 3 or 4 of these guys that were already in the States. I got like Baba and Mustafa and Kerr and Jalen Celestine. The positive is this is now a international sport, international game, and the playing style over in Europe or even South America, it's very like-minded to what we wanted to do with this roster as a whole, and that is versatility, basketball IQ, switchability, shooting, and all these players that we brought in have at least one superpower that we can pinpoint and say this is what this guy does. And I think the European model is very fundamental based, it's very skill based, and it's what we try to reflect with the makeup of this roster. And I feel pretty confident in that we can kind of go out there in November and do just that.
JT Smith for the Front Office News. How you doing, Corey? You come in like smack dab in the portal season. How fast did it take you to kind of get your feet going? Also, like kind of your new norm, and then is OKC taking care of you since you started the season with them and they got the ring?
I hope so. Shout out to Sam Presti there, but I'm not a guy that lives with regret. The first 4 or 5 days in the portal, though, I was thinking to myself, man, did I sign that contract yet? I don't know if this is it, but no, it's crazy how fast the portal moves, especially, they've lowered the window down even further to 30 days, and you're talking about players that you don't even know much about the morning of, and that night you're in the Final Three for them. And where the NBA, this is where the difference is in the NBA and college. NBA is very delayed approach. Everything is thorough and it's thought-provoking, and you lay things out. And the transfer portal, you got to be on your P's and Q's. So going into this year, it's how do we prepare internally to be more ready for that cycle in the best, most efficient way possible. But I don't think you can ask any coach in America how they handle the transfer portal and how they are efficient with it. There's no proper way to do it. But you have to really do the intel work, the analytic work, and like the former question, having Wes having the chance to coach against Mustafa and Kerr and Sincere and having that background definitely gave, I think, a leg up with the familiarity and the trust in recruiting those guys.
When you first got here, one of the things you talked about in terms of your vision of building a roster was processing. It kind of always stuck out to me. One, can you maybe go into a little more detail on what processing means on the court in terms of what you're looking for, and how much of that do you think you were able to add to the roster?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was the major catalyst for that. It was more of direct talking points with the staff as far as what do we exactly want out of this roster. And some of that might have been a hole from last year's roster, and it's, in a sense, recency bias. And it wasn't difficult to sell the staff on this being a primary component to what we wanted in our roster this year. So, but what that means to me is, can these guys think in a quick, efficient manner? And can they play different spots? Can they pass it? Can they handle pressure and make the proper decision? And I think we made that a priority in the portal. And we were also pretty lucky. Luck is a major factor in this, with how smart our roster is now. Even the freshmen, Shauna Bives' basketball acumen is through the roof for an 18, 19-year-old kid. Keyshawn Tillery's the same way. So when you have guys out there that can really think the game and play in a mature manner, Kirk Krisha's, he's a savant in that regard. And having a guy like Sean, and even in bringing guys in like Jordy, their ability to retain information and go out there and play and not make mistakes, and when they do, learn from it and move on. It's been a massive blessing, and I hope that, you know, it parlays itself into on-floor success. But last year's roster, we really wanted to make sure we brought in more passing, more playmaking, more shot creating. And the beauty of it is, when you think about passing, you think about guards, right? Guards and wings. And I think a hidden talent of ours is the passing ability of our big men, our front court guys like Mustafa and Jalen Haynes and Baba Miller. Those guys' assist percentages over the years has been super, super high. And in practice, it's been shown just as well how well they can be played through as connectors. And I think it's going to give Wes Miller and the coaching staff more of a chance to play different ways. And I think it's why Wes is so excited right now.
You came slightly before Mustafa. Did you have a part in that, or if not, go ahead and give me your evaluation?
I play a small part. I'll say that. Wes was very, very hands-on with that, as he should have been. I think Mustafa's future is as bright as it can get. He would have been the second biggest, longest player at the NBA Combine this past year. And the growth that he's made physically in the past 4 or 5 months, he's invested so much into his body. And I think it's really correlated with confidence. And once he begins to understand how good he is and how great he can be, and that is, in the grand scheme of things, he can go as far as he wants in basketball in general, the sky's the limit for him. So for him, it's just about building on days and weeks, you know, and stacking days and doing the right things. But as far as being coachable and having all the talent in the world and the dimensions, there's not a whole lot else you're looking for a guy like that.
You've evaluated a lot of different levels throughout your career. When you think about young guys like Shauna Bayev and Keyshawn Tillery, how much input do you maybe give the coaching staff on potential development plans for them to get them to the next level?
You know, I try to stay hands off there. I think there has to be a delineation there between the coaching staff and myself. I don't want to really saunter into their land, but there is moments that we discuss and talk about certain things. But again, the great thing about Keyshawn and Sean is they're so coachable, and any tidbits that I can give them with my experience and my background, I give them. But just seeing them from afar, there hasn't been a whole lot to demand more out of with their consistency as freshmen. You're talking about guys that are 18, 19 years old with 24, 25-year-old teammates on the roster, and there's been no giant gulf between those guys and the older guys with maturity and daily habits. So that's been very, very promising. I'm still trying to figure that out. You know, it's funny. The portal is going on, and you feel like you don't have enough hours in the day, and the roster finally is set, and you're looking around. You're like, what do I do now? But there's always things to achieve and conquer here. For me, it's more about how do I manage on the back end, and how do I serve this staff and take off responsibilities that might have added up over the past 4 or 5 years that wasn't typical in college basketball. So for me, it's going to be a fact-finding mission. It's going to be about curiosity and being strategic with my time and my efforts. But we'll see as that time comes.
More important, where does the GM sit on game day? You in the second row? You get your own box?
I might be standing in the tunnel. I'm a kind of a nervous person when it comes to that kind of stuff. So
standing with Bob Mangine in the tunnel.
Bob and myself are going to be in the tunnel there, talking about our Pittsburgh background there. So, but yeah, we'll see.
How many of these guys, knowing your NBA background, have kind of searched you out just to chop it up and try to pick your brain and whatever you may know?
I'm the shiny new toy right now, right? So I'm the shiny new toy that just got unwrapped after Christmas. So definitely a majority of them, just about even just the daily life in the NBA or what it's like and what we look for in NBA players and prospects and the daily habits of people like that. It's easy to really sell it when it's Oklahoma City and you're involved with Shai Gilgeous and Jalen and Chet, these kind of big name players in the NBA. But, you know, again, like I said, I'm here to kind of help these guys achieve all they want here in Cincinnati and beyond. So whatever kind of resource I can be, I'm down for it.